Hey everyone, welcome to 12th House Astrology. I'm Acoustic Stevo, the Human Patriot, and I'm going to be doing a weekly reading for all the signs. It's going to be a one-card pull, and I'm using this cool deck. It's called the White Sage Tarot, and I'm pretty new with it, so I'm going to be using the book to kind of fill in the gaps. So right now I'm shuffling the cards, and we're going to get our pulls going. And I just got back from a vacation, starting my work week again. I started yesterday, so I'm getting back into the whole swing of work. I was wanting to do these in a consistent way, probably on Mondays, because that's the beginning of the week. But for now, I'm just going to say I'm going to try to get them at the beginning of the week sometime. So this is going to be for the entire week, Monday through next Sunday, even though I missed Monday. If you had something yesterday and the poll is important to maybe help you deal with what was going on for you yesterday, it will work itself out, but this is going to be for this week. Alright, Aries. So we got here. We got the Hermit upright. Alright, so this is the card energy for Aries rising, Aries sun, Aries moon, or people with Aries stelliums. Just kind of a general one card pull reading, and let's see what we have for the Hermit in here. It says, upright, spiritual loner. With a smile on his face and a glimmer in his eyes, this sloth doesn't have a care in the world. He knows everything gets done on its own sweet time. In its own sweet time, I apologize, I don't have my glasses on. Just because he is alone doesn't mean he is lonely. This sloth reminds you to stop pushing your way through life. Just stop and enjoy the view. Alright, so that is this deck's interpretation. For me, the traditional interpretation of the Hermit is similar in a lot of ways, but it's more about, instead of a stop and take your time energy, it's more about having an inner knowledge that needs to be shared. But the Hermit traditionally is holding a lantern, and that's the light. That's like the light of esoteric wisdom, which is spiritual wisdom. And the Hermit is the one that can show that to people. And the reason why he's off by himself, because a lot of times when you are on a spiritual path, it does turn into a loner type situation. So a lot of people with 9 energy or Hermit energy, they end up kind of going off on their own. But it's not to be alone, it's because it's the necessity of carrying that wisdom and sharing that wisdom. I just had some cards jump out as I was shuffling. I gotta regroup and grab them, put them back in. Alright, so I would say through this week, Aries, just kind of look for opportunities to talk to people in one-on-one ways, and impart to them some of the knowledge that you have that they may need. Let's just keep it simple like that for the week. Alright, let's go ahead with Taurus. Taurus. Alright, Taurus. Oh, there you are. Let's see what you got. You got the 8 of Swords upright. So, Taurus, let's find out what the 8 of Swords upright says in the book. Alright, 8 of Swords upright. It says, trapped, imprisoned. The 2 largest swords are wrapped and are unable to be used to their full abilities. Other swords point inward as a sign of conflict. Keep your wits about you. As the blue ribbon of the 5th chakra indicates, communication is key. Alright, so this is saying, alright. This is saying, for me, the 8 of Swords always is air. And 8 for me is a number of endurance. And So the Eight of Swords is when you have a situation that's caught. Air has to do with mental stuff, thoughts, things like that. It could be causing you restriction with your thoughts because it doesn't have as much flow as I guess would be, natural. It's more like it's built itself up and it's a pent-up type of energy. So it's called I believe interference in the Thoth deck that I've used for a long time. And if it's not called interference, it's something like that type of energy. So what I'm getting is stifled progress. Things where your plans and your ideas are not really coming to fruition, and it's causing you some mental anguish. So this is a weekly pull, so this might just be some energy that you have to get through. Hopefully it's not too much energy this way, because that's never a fun thing to deal with. Obstacles constantly and just not feeling like you can get out of a situation or a thought, or people being aligned against you with their thoughts, things of this nature. So, like this says, let me open it back up because I set it down. Like this says, trapped, imprisoned, right? You don't want to stay trapped and imprisoned. But at the same time, sometimes that's what happens. The things around you don't want to go with the flow that you got in mind. And so that's the inevitable feeling and mental space that someone who is misaligned is going to feel. So I would say, try not to be too mad, too much anger, too much disheartened. Don't try not to take it out on yourself. Just realize that this is just something that happens from time to time, and maybe try to refocus on the places where you're not trapped and imprisoned, because I'm sure if you think hard enough about it, you'll find some of those areas. Maybe focus on those areas, because that might be more beneficial to the energy of the week than to try to butt your head up against something and to feel so negatively about something that you can't really do anything about, really. So, all right, Taurus. Gemini, oh, little gem, Gemini, Gemini, oh, Gemini, there you are. Two of Wands reversed. I'm going to let you see that. Two of Wands reversed, Gemini. Let's see what the book says. It says, reversed, hesitation, fear of unknown. When the Two of Wands shows up in reverse, hesitation and lack of confidence can crop up. Take your time and you'll see you can do this. Alright, so what I'm going to say about this is, Two of Wands reversed for me is dominion reversed. And what that means, when you have dominion, you have like a steady spirit that can really deal with anything that comes at you in your 3D reality. So it kind of very much so aligns with what I just read out of the book. So what this is saying is self-confidence. That confidence to know that you can overcome, that you do have dominion, is kind of lacking. Like, I would say, Gemini, take some time to meditate on yourself and your own worth, and really think about that. And you should be able to get out of this funk, or at least start to open a book where you start to build some self-confidence in your own spirit and what you can manifest. All right, so get started on that, Gemini. Try not to think pessimistically, especially about yourself. All right, Cancer, 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 Cancer. I'm gonna try to start stepping up my speed on these two, because I really don't have as much time to do this as I would like. It's just the reality of my situation. All right, so here we go. Cancer. Oh, Cancer. Whoa. Hierophant. Upright. So I'm gonna read what it says in here. I like this. It's a little deer with a key, and the deer is sleeping soundly, and the key is like the stability because it's underneath the deer. So what's that say? What's that saying? Let's see what the book says. And what's cool about these cards is they're a little bit different than what I'd expect, like the symbology of them. So I'm having to unlock my intuition with them and look at different cards in different ways and align it to my already understanding of the cards. So I'm having fun with it. This says, upright, inner teacher, power of letting go. That inner teacher part is really important with the Hierophant. The Hierophant is all about learning good judgment. No need to search, the answers lie deep inside. You only need to sit and quiet your mind. This deer knows how to be a deer. Although she is vulnerable, she is confident yet relaxed. So that deer, to me, it looked like it was sleeping. And for me, that, animals out in the wild, they have to sleep sometime. Do you think they're always sleeping in some fitful type of thing where predators are just around the corner of them being able to shut their eyes? I don't really think so. And, especially a young animal, because that was a young deer. So what I'm thinking is that key is like the universe that's going to protect you and give you what you need as you sleep or meditate in this case. So you may need to just look inside and just to calm down and relax, trust your intuition, and step out into the world this week there, Cancer. Just step on out, be yourself, know that the universe has got your back. Like that key, you can afford to relax. So that's the energy. All right, I'm going to go on to Leo. Leo, Leo. Leo, 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 Leo. Leo, 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 Leo. Leo, 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 Leo. Leo. Oh, oh. You got the Death card. Upright. I like this one. It's like that tunnel that you think of when you die. The bright light. The new experience right there and the old experience ending. Let's see what the book says here. Death, upright. We have big transformation, change. The Death card can suggest the end of a being, a job, or even a concept. There is nothing to fear about this card. Lighten your grip on the idea of permanence. That's very key. This image of light at the end of the tunnel reminds us that everything is made up of energy, and that is very true. Death to me is, when I was young and little, it was scary, right? I always thought about when my parents died, how heartbroken I'd be. When my grandparents died, how heartbroken I'd be. And luckily, they didn't die for a long time. My parents are still alive, but I've recently dealt with my grandma, my maternal grandmother's death. And although it was very sad, the heartbreak wasn't there because I understood death. Like I reached an age where I understood what death is. And it's just a transformation of energy. Like that's all it really is. And a large part of me understanding that was me finding out I had some rare disease that could end in my death, right? So I had to deal with that and go through some real contemplation on what my fears associated with death. And it was like a shedding of fears. And even like after I started getting better and I went into remission in my disease, I still had this fear of death and getting sick. It lingered for a while because I was vulnerable still, because it's a thing that a lot of people, they might go into remission, but they go back into. And I recently figured out that that's, not recently, but I'd say in the last couple of years, that that's no way to live. Like, I'm not going to live and make my reality adhere to the possibility of getting sick. And ever since I did that, I've become totally free, because it's just energy. I'm not going to... Death, you're not meant to just live in death. Decay happens right away after death. And that's because the energy is still there. It needs to dissolve the body, the thing where the energy had lived. So it does that in a very rapid way, and there's a reason why these things happen like they do, so that we can understand them. And, death gives life. Something dies on the grass, everything under the grass is fed. And that's the reality of death. And I don't mean to go too far into this, because I was wanting to speed these readings up, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. What this means is that could be anything in your life. It's reached its point where it needs to be done. And so it's going to die. And a lot of times the force of death, you have no control over it, especially when it comes out in the cards like that. It's just something this week. This is the weekly card pull. Something in your life, it needs to die. But part of that is you letting it. And no matter how hard it is, because it really has to do with the impermanence of everything. So I would just release. That's the main theme of death. Release. Not only that, but look for new. Because it's a pretty rapid process where the new can come in, because the old dies. Alright. So I would go ahead and do that there, Leo. And we're going to go ahead and do Virgo now. And I am getting long on this. I might have to do a part 2 after Virgo, like I did last week with it. So I think I am going to do that. I'll do a part 2 after this. So here we go, Virgo. Alright, Virgo. You got the 3 of Pentacles reversed. Alright? That's work. Work reversed, Virgo. Won't read what the book says, but I already know what I'm going to say. Let's see here. Three of Pentacles reversed is weak connection, difficulty communicating. If there is one person in the group who is dominating the conversation, see if you can help find balance. Bring focus to your throat center and imagine an ultramarine blue light that fills the space. That's interesting. For me, what I was going to say doesn't really have much to do with that, but I can see how it applies. So with the weak connection and difficulty communicating, because for me the 3 of Pentacles is works. So when it's reversed, that means worked reverse, and that's what's happening if you're having problem with communication and you need to accomplish something, right? It becomes a challenge, a blockage to actually getting stuff done. And a lot of times when you're working, you're not on your own. You're actually in a group setting. But a lot of times, for me, this card can be a singular card. So it's not, if you're not having problems with like a group environment work, or help, maybe somebody around you needs some help, something like that, then another way it might apply is that it might be a week where the tasks that need to get done are kind of put to the side. And you see, that's the thing about reversed cards, is they're not always bad, even when the message itself isn't like upright and positive. And, you know, we think of, oh, stuff's not going to get done, that's so bad and that's so horrible. But that might not be the case. Because when stuff's not getting done, that means that it gives an opportunity for everyone to kind of consider why it's not getting done. And it might be that in the considering of why things aren't getting done, you find an answer that you can then start working towards again. You know, where that may have not have been apparent if everybody was just working towards something. I know that's kind of convoluted, but I think I said what I needed to say there. So for you, Virgo, it might just be that the work's not getting done, and that's okay this week. You know, it might mean you have to work harder later, but at the same time, there may be some kind of benefit to that this week. And not only that, think of the positive. Maybe a lot of work's already been done, you know what I mean? So it will be okay. Or something at work might not be quite right that requires more of your attention than you normally would give it, but you just don't have the time or energy. It might just be that you have to let that go for a minute. Alright, Virgo. I will continue part 2 for Libra through Pisces on the next video. Acoustic Steve out.